What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another transfer update video as we talk the latest news. Arsenal Shaw on tour continues. We're in New York City, baby. It's a little bit more overcast than it was in DC, although it was very hot yesterday when we got here. It's still hot now, actually, but I think it's due to rain a little bit today. And anyway, let's talk transfers, people. Let's talk the latest news going off at Arsenal, potential moves coming in, potential moves going out. We're starting to move and shake, and it's an interesting period because that start of the transfer window was all sort of Rice, Havertz and Timber every day, talking about them. Now it's a little bit in the air. We don't quite know what direction we're going in. So let's talk transfers. Let's talk about the biggest transfer rumour going around today. I actually heard this last night when we got here, and I was thinking this is a bit far-fetched, but Arsenal being linked today with a move for Brazilian international, Brazilian of course, Douglas Luiz, which is a little bit interesting because we obviously tried to sign Douglas Luiz last summer. We had 2 offers turned down on deadline day last summer for Douglas Luiz. El Neni was injured. We tried to get Douglas Luiz in. He only had a year left on his contract. He was desperate to join the club, according to reports, but we couldn't get the deal over the line. Now, we offered about 20-25 million then. He only had a year left. It's believed Aston Villa would want 35 to 40 million pounds for Douglas Luiz now. He's also been linked with Tottenham, who are potentially going to be looking for a midfielder. Of course, I'm sure he would come to Arsenal ahead of Tottenham. I think that's a given. But Douglas Luiz being linked with a move. Aston Villa are spending a lot of money at the moment. They may have to sell just to balance the books a little bit. But would they be prepared to sell Douglas Luiz, a player that has played a lot of football for them? Would you take Douglas Luiz at Arsenal, people? 35 to 40 million, Brazilian international, Premier League proven, would add to the depth that we've already got in midfield, that is for sure. Do you rate him? Do you think he's good enough? Personally, if you were bringing him in to replace El Neni and you went with Douglas Luiz, Jorginho, Partey and Rice as your 4 centre midfielders a little bit deeper, I think that would be very good squad depth here, you know, but they're not likely to get rid of El Neni, so I'm not sure on that one. And I think if Thomas Partey stays, which it looks like he is, I'm not sure they need to drop 40 million on him. But listen, he's a good player. If they signed him, I wouldn't be disappointed. I do think he's decent. I'm just not sure it's a deal that's going to happen. But listen, let me know in the comments, would you take Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa for 35 to 40 million pounds? Another Brazilian player, a player that Edu has worked with previously. He knows him well and obviously was very keen on joining Arsenal when we made the offer for him last summer. So let me know in the comments, would you take Douglas Luiz, people? Another Brazilian, and this one looks like it's getting closer, people, is Bitello. This deal looks as if it's going to happen, but it was revealed yesterday Arsenal are closing in on an £8.5 million move for Bitello from Gremio, but he can't actually join Arsenal next season as he would fail to get a work permit due to his lack of international involvement at any level, which means Arsenal would have to sign him, loan him out to a club in Europe to enable him to get a work permit. Could be a Wellington Silva kind of deal. If you know, you know. The Brazilian who played for Arsenal for years and hardly ever kicked a ball for us because he couldn't get a work permit. But Bitello, looks as if this one could be happening. Edu is in close contact with his agents. He believes he's an unearthed gem. 23 years of age, attacking midfielder over there in Brazil for Gremio. Helped them get promotion last season. 8.5 million release clause, not big money for Arsenal. As I said before, I don't mind Arsenal trying to unearth gems from Brazil. We've seen Real Madrid do it numerous times. And we've seen with Martinelli, you know, he's up there as one of our best players. He cost £6 million. Marquinhos, I thought, looked good the other day. And I think maybe a loan would do him well next season. Or you never know, he might be ready to stay as a backup player. But yeah, Bitello looks as if he could be coming to Arsenal. But we won't see him in an Arsenal shirt next season. That's the only problem. Let's talk about players potentially going out, people. Cedric Soares in talks with Villarreal about a potential move. It's believed Arsenal would be willing to take £2 to £3 million to let Cedric go. £70,000 a week. I once met him at a petrol station, as you've probably heard on the streams. cool guy, but I want top quality players. No disrespect, bro. So yeah, I think it's agreed for all parties. It's best for him to go. Wasn't brought out here on the US tour, and when you think even man like Alex Renarson are out here, if you're not getting brought out here, something ain't right, brother. So Cedric looks as if he's on his way out. £2 to £3 million. I think we can all agree it's probably time for him to move on. Couple more stories to get into, people. Nicolas Pepe's move, or potential move, to Saudi looks as if it's on the verge of collapse. He was talking to a team in Saudi Arabia. He hasn't been able to agree terms with the club. It's believed he's asked for excessive wages to go over there. I mean, I'm not being funny. If you hear about Jordan Henderson getting £700,000 a week, if a Saudi club come in for me, I'd be asking for a fortune as well. So I can understand Pepe trying to get the big bucks to go over there, but unfortunately it looks as if that deal has collapsed. And I know we've spoken about this a few times before, but if you're in a situation where Pepe doesn't have a move anywhere and he's got a year left on his deal, would you bring him back to Arsenal and just have him as a squad player, as a backup player to put pressure on Saka? I still think with 20 minutes to go in a game, if Saka's having a quiet game, Pepe is a decent option to have as a substitute. I'm not saying I'd bring him in to start him, because I think we've seen that Pepe just maybe lacks that intensity a little bit, doesn't really play the style of football that Mikel Arteta plays. He's definitely better in a counter-attacking system. But one thing I've always said about Pepe is I think he can finish when he gets in front of goal. And listen, I don't think his long-term future will be at Arsenal, but if you're in a situation where nobody wants him and he's got a year left on his deal, are we not actually better off just bringing him in and having him as a squad player? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, people. I think Arsenal's point of view is get him off the wage bill, 130 grand a week. Even if we loaned him out to somebody and they paid his wages for the year, I think that's what they will probably do. But I'm thinking I'd probably keep Pepe as a squad player for a year, but it's unlikely to happen. But let me know in the comments, people, what you think about Nicolas Pepe. And final story, people. The Inter Milan CEO was talking about a potential move for Balogun, and said that, you know, he's a player that he thinks could be a star of the future for the club, very highly rated. They want to pay around 40 million euros for him, which is about 34 million pounds. Arsenal apparently want closer to 45 to 50 million euros, which would get them over 40 million pounds. Listen, I've spoken to a few people over here and we've been at a couple of events. Some people from Arsenal have been there, and other various people have been there. Listen, it doesn't seem clear cut that Balogun won't be here next season. I think the fact they've brought him on tour, they're giving him game time. I think the club are having a look at him to see if it, you know, adds up for them to keep him or not. What level is he at? How much football is he going to get? You know, we saw the other night Eddie Nketiah played wide, Balogun came on through the middle. It's an interesting one. And the reality of the situation is we've spent over £200 million. I think we're going to buy one or two more players. They're going to have to sell some players to balance the books. So it's going to be an interesting one with Balogun. I think a lot of us would like him to stay. But if somebody offers £40 million for a lad that was on loan at Middlesbrough last year, I personally think the club are going to find it difficult to reject. But we'll have to see how he does in pre-season. Hopefully he gets a goal or two against Man United. Make sure you keep it locked. Got some content coming out today. There's a media event on today which I'll be attending. So hopefully I'll be able to get some behind the scenes footage. Obviously, like I said, the next two games, I should have some access to those two games, so hopefully we'll get some behind the scenes content, maybe get to speak to one or two of the players and interview some of them. So keep it locked. Thank you very much for all your support. Sure on Tour business. Keep liking the video, keep subscribing. I know a lot of you have been messaging saying I'm missing the live streams, but it's just the Wi-Fi where we're staying at the moment is probably not good enough for me to do a live stream, so it's going to be short content until we're back next week, people. But if anything changes, you know, I'll hop on the live quickly and link up with everyone. Big up to everyone I've been meeting over here. We was in Times Square last night, met loads of Arsenal fans, did a match preview with Flex and KG who are over here as well, so we all linked up. It was great vibes. Looking forward to linking up with them at the game. Thank you very much, people. Like the video, subscribe. It's about to rain, so I'm getting inside, and I'll see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.